Well. How are you people? How are you everyone? How are you all? I hope everyone is fine. Greetings to everyone watching, everyone that is my returning subscribers, organic viewers and subscribers. Thank you very much for watching. This is Nyabohanse teacher again. I'm here to cover one of the most important topics that I've ever covered. Today we are going to study literature, but basically the importance of studying literature. Why do people need to study literature? Is it really important? Does it add value to anyone? Is it good? Is it interesting? Is it lovely? So basically let us just delve into it very fast, because time wasted is never recovered. Okay. Well, what do we understand by the term literature? With my understanding, literature means so many things to different people. People all over the world have their own definition of literature, but we can define literature in very easy way. You know that before I give the definition of literature, that we need to understand that literature can be written, it can be spoken, it can also be acted. So in summary, we can say literature is a spoken, written, or acted word of art that expresses human imagination and emotions, cultures, and many other things. Before I move to another thing, I would say that basically literature is divided into two. That is written and oral literature. We have oral and written literature. Oral literature is very, very old. Written literature is most new, is the newest. Why do we say oral literature is old? Because before the introduction of written materials, early manuscripts like cuneiforms, still oral literature was still there. That means that literature is as old as the human himself. So that means that literature is something that is needed to be enjoyed, learned, and understood. As we are saying that it existed from time immemorial, that means that literature is very important. Were it not important, it wouldn't have been as interesting as it is. Very well. The ones that understand oral literature very well, literature is normally divided into two: written and oral literature. It is oral because it is rendered by word of mouth. It is written because it is rendered by written materials. Now, this topic is very wide. I can use even 2 hours teaching it, but let me go to a specific area. Though I'll mention about oral literature, personally I like and love literature, because it is through literature that we become an eloquent, fluent, and knowledgeable teacher of English or a speaker of English. Otherwise, oral literature is, as you've heard, is spoken by word of mouth. And because it is old, then that means it was stored in the brain. But then how did we get to know the oral literature? Oral literature is transferred from one generation to another. So that means a father will transfer the knowledge to the son. The son will transfer to his son. His son will also transfer to his son. His son will transfer, just like that. Son, father. No, from the son become a father. From a father you become a son. So just like that. Oral literature genres, we have things like songs, where in our syllabus we call it oral poetry. We have riddles, that is still oral literature. We also have tongue twisters. We also have proverbs. So we have talked about songs or oral poetry. We've talked about riddles, proverbs. We also have narratives. So narratives are also part of oral literature. In fact, it is oral narratives that were mostly used to educate the young people, because long time there was no formal education. So it is oral literature that was used to educate the young people back then. Okay, written literature is written, as you from the word itself, written. We have so many people that have written literature. In fact, even the Bible is written literature. Any written form is written literature. We have so many authors, we have so many writers that have written poems, that have written novels, short stories, and many other things. So that is written literature. We have example of authors like in Africa, the ones that are most celebrated are people like Ngugi wa Thiong'o, that written The River Between and other books, A Grain of Wheat. We have people like Chinua Achebe that have written so many books, like Things Fall Apart, the novel that I like the most, that talks about Okonkwo. Begins like Okonkwo was well known throughout the 9 villages and even beyond. That is a very nice novel. In fact, literature is so much interesting. Otherwise, we shall go just directly to the importance of literature so that we can delve into them and get to know why then should we read this literature. However much I'm saying that is important, is good, it's supposed to be done, then why do we study literature? So we shall go directly to it. Literature. First, literature will help us to understand human experiences. When we read literature, we listen to literature, we watch literature, we are going to understand how other people from other communities live. What are the experiences? What caused them to do this and that? Through that, we understand people from different backgrounds. So literature helps us to understand human experiences, especially from those that come from other different backgrounds. Apart from that, literature also helps us to improve our language skills. As we read literature and learn, listen and watch, our vocabulary stock is increased. The more we read, the more we learn the sentence structures. We learn different tenses, how they have been used. We learn how words correlate and interrelate. Through literature, our language is improved. That means we can read literature from any language we want. Be it Mandarin, be it German, be it Kiswahili, English. It will help us. It will come a long way to help us improve our language skills. We have around 4 language skills. We have reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So as we are reading literature, then that is an language skill. We are improving our reading skill. If we listen, we are improving our listening skills. If we write the literature, then we are improving our writing skills together. So that is, we are improving our language skills. The vocabulary stock is increased. If you want to know those people that are good orators, people that are very good in the language, people that have read so many books, because different authors have different ways and styles of conveying the information. Through that, you gain language skills, you will gain language vocabulary stock. In a year, if you read so many books, you will not be the same. You will not speak just like any other man, any other person, as they call them laymen. You'll not be a layman. You'll be unique. You'll be unique by yourself. That is, it will improve your language skills like that. So keep on reading books. It will improve your literature, your language. Literature is also key, very important. Yes, literature is also very important because it will help you be imaginative. It will help you to think critically. It helps you to think critically. As you are trying to interpret literature texts in different contexts, it makes you become imaginative and creative. So it will help you to think critically, and it will even help you to form decisions in future. If you're faced with a very big decision or a big problem in future, it can help you to form informed decisions that are very good. Your decisions will determine your future. So through literature, it will help you to think critically. Think before you leap. Think before you act. Think well. Think good. So literature will become very important for you. It will help you to think critically. If you can't think critically, then you're not going to make an informed decision. That's why you find people making very poor decisions in life. It makes them become so miserable. Otherwise, although human beings are automatically evil, as they say, but then literature will help you to form critical decisions, make you become a critical thinker. So through literature, you'll gain those skills, just like you'll be able to analyze, interpret, and form opinions. So that is why important literature is. So through literature, because you cannot understand a literature's text, without thinking critically. Even the Bible, you cannot understand it without thinking critically. The parables were used by Jesus to hide some facts from people, from laymen, because they did not understand the literature. Some words are hidden from people because they do not understand literature. One very intelligent guy once said, there are people that laugh, yet they do not know that they are laughing at themselves. Why? Because they don't understand why they are laughing. They're just laughing because it is funny, but they don't understand the deeper concept, the deeper meaning of that particular concept. Apart from that, literature will help us to preserve our culture and history. It records traditions, our beliefs, and historical events. A very good example is the book Coming to Birth, that I read it back at the university. Coming to Birth is a very important book that records the history of Kenya. It even talks about the assassination of Tom Mboya in the year 1969. So it preserves history and culture. Literature preserves history and culture. So even young people, maybe even 100 years from today, where most of us may not be alive. 100 years, that means if you are 30 years now, or 40, you're going to be 140. Your generations are going to read the text. They're going to understand that this country experienced the following historical events. So through literature, it preserves culture and history. It's very key, it's very important. So literature is very important. I've said books, novels, short stories, they talk about history of a country. It will preserve the norms, the traditions, cultures, and very important historical events. That is literature. So that means if you want to understand more, if you want to get more, read. If you want to become different, unique, informed, well educated, read literature. You'll get a lot that you did not know. Thank you. The next literature, apart from giving us knowledge, preserving culture, enabling us to learn the vocabulary, helping us to understand human experiences, literature is also very important in education. In short, somebody can say literature educates us. Through the moral values, through lessons, through proverbs that are used in literature, you become educated. As I previously said, that in our ancestors, or when oral literature began, there were no books, there was no formal education. So the only way they would learn is through oral literature. I believe I have read and seen that most people sat at the end of the day, after a day's work, the elders would teach, will narrate, give young people stories. They will narrate to them, and at the end, they will give them, it will help them to learn moral lessons. For example, monster and ogre narratives would used to scare young children from roaming in the night. You know, because the young people, if you don't advise them and give them knowledge, they will do things that will cause them harm. So oral literature materials are very important to educate, to impart knowledge to the young people. Even today, if you read, listen, watch any literature material, if you are of sound mind, you're going to learn something. So you're going to be educated, consciously or unconsciously. If you watch a play, a movie, you read a novel, a storybook, or a short story, or a play, in the end of the play, you're going to learn. For example, there is a character called Paulina. She begins the story as a naive village girl. She did not know anything or knew little. But at the end of the story, the character had developed. In fact, she is a round character to become an independent woman, doing her own business. So that one, what can it teach you? It can teach you that however much you began from a lower ground, you can end up becoming a greater person in future. So that will tell you that perseverance and tolerance leads to success. Or when you talk about an oral narrative that involves trickery, or a trickster narrative, where mostly the trickster is the hare or any other small animals like squirrel, you find that they are tricked very big animals. Like, for example, the trickster story of the hare and the elephant. What does that tell you? However much small you are, small in body, you can defeat a big person. That doesn't mean that if you have a small body, it's so much that you'll be beaten by a person with a big body. You can be small but very courageous. You can be small but very witty and intelligent and clever at the same time. So through literature, we are educated. Apart from that, through literature, we are entertained and inspired. Nowadays, I've seen people watching different social media platforms. You find somebody with a phone just laughing. Why are you laughing? Yeah. So literature entertains through stories, drama, fiction, poetry, and many others. Literature entertains. So as I was saying, you may find somebody just laughing over the phone because he's being entertained because of humor. People have different senses of humor. You find somebody has written a text that is very humorous. As you laugh, giggle, and dance, you become entertained through literature. So literature really entertains. It becomes very therapeutic. So apart from literature being informative, educative, it also entertains. Literature plays a big role. Not only all the ones I've said. Literature is key, very important in a person's life. It is through literature that you become knowledgeable. So I encourage students, adults, teachers, enthusiasts, professors, people that love language, people that want to improve themselves, people that want to form a different perspective, study literature. You can read novels, short stories, journals, and so many other things you can watch. It changes your perspective. If you want to understand the cultures of other people, if you want to understand the culture of America, read literature. My pops has a book called American History. Read. You understand the Americans. If you want to understand the culture of Africans, read the African culture. Nowadays, literature is even in the social media, internet. We have e-learning. You can learn through the electronic devices. You can learn through the media, the internet. You can learn the cultures of people. Nowadays, literature is advanced. It is stored in books, articles, magazines, and so many books. So what do I say? However much I've talked about around 7 or 8 functions of literature, we have other functions of literature. You are supposed to ensure that you maximize in studying literature. In fact, literature is something that cannot be studied in a day. We are just studying the importance of literature, just encouraging you people to study literature, and you see your perspective going to be very different. Thank you very much. I wish you a lovely day, lovely life. I wish your families good health. We are also very fine here. Thank you for watching up to the end. If you find this video educative and informative, remember to hit the like, comment, subscribe. Thank you very much. Welcome to Nyabohanse Teacher again. Have a lovely time. Greet your lovely ones. Tell them I love them also. Goodbye.